will Hillary Clinton be able to defrost enough in time to pull off New Hampshire? Let's ask the party panel. We will discuss with Katherine Timpf. She's a correspondent on the Greg Gutfeld Show and a writer for the National Review. Look at those bona fides. And tonight, it's Julie Roginsky, a Democratic strategist, also a Fox News contributor. And rounding out the panel, it's Jamie Weinstein from the Daily Caller. He's a senior editor there. And that is also quite impressive.
Amazing.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, your eyes as green as emeralds. So, Julie, such a solid response from Hillary Clinton about Goldman Sachs. Just so stellar.
None were black. Was that a Spinal Tap reference there? I love it. That's the best part of the show. Let's talk about Tap instead of this horrible Hillary answer.
I know you don't want to talk about it.
No. I'm more than happy to talk about Spinal Tap anytime. But it was a horrible answer. There's no excuse for it. I mean, it's crazy. I never understood why she took this money in the first place. I suspect she might have had a slight inkling that she might be running for president when she took that money. Just a slight one. And if that was the case, it's even dumber to take this money because income inequality is by far the #1 issue in Democratic primary voters, and not just Democratic primary voters, but also independents really feel strongly about it. Even some Republicans care about the lesser people among us.
Yeah, no, there is the economic populism making its way.
So why would she do this? It's crazy. There's no excuse for it.
She can't undo it. She could give the money back, but she has actually taken more money from Wall Street and the 4 federal elections she's had than Bill Clinton has since 1974.
Well, so the problem for the Clintons continues to be, and it always is, and I say this as somebody who's going to vote for her because I want a Democrat in the White House, but they've always been really acquisitive, right? There's never really a paycheck they haven't passed up. And it's a problem because it's not an admirable trait. There's really no reason for her to have done this. I mean, they're well enough as it is, well off enough as it is. They're pretty loaded. They don't need this money.
No, they don't need the money, but Bernie Sanders does. Let's put this into perspective. What is $675,000 to Bernie Sanders?
Well, that's more than his net worth. I mean, I think, to be frank, I think the mascot from Monopoly is less tied to Wall Street than Hillary Clinton. She's accepted, I think, 15% of her campaign donations this cycle, including the super PAC, have come from financial firms. I agree with you. Just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Admit that you're tied to Wall Street. I think at the end of the day, I'm not a huge fan of Wall Street, but it's a better argument that, like, yes, maybe I'm a little tied to Wall Street, but I'm better than the guy who's going to have a guillotine in the middle of Wall Street cutting off the heads of investment bankers. That's probably going to be worse for the economy than somebody who's a little bit tied to Wall Street.
She could. I mean, if she were at all subtle and artful, she could make the case that what he will do will actually be much worse for the economy, and she could own it. But they just love her, and they wanted to hear her story, didn't they, Kat?
Everything about her answer was so dumb. Because, okay, even if she didn't want to always run for president, as she said, what difference does it make, right? Because guess what? People who like you give you money, and people like people who give them money. And saying, that's what they offered me. They just gave me this much money. That's like saying, because they knew that it was going to be a big love fest. Yeah. Nobody pays anybody so much money to come be mean to them.
No, when I go to Starbucks and I pay them for coffee, I want coffee. Like, that's what I'm paying for. When Goldman Sachs pays Hillary Clinton $675,000, they want favors. I mean, that's what they're doing. They know she's running for president. She knows she's running for president. And it doesn't even matter how explicit the agreement was. You know, implicit in that transaction, there is an agreement.
And I don't think she cares because we have people, you know, Democrats like Julie here say they just want a Democrat in the White House. So she can just say whatever she wants. Well, she is a nightmare.
Incidentally, she charged more to go speak at universities, $300,000 per speech, than she did to Goldman Sachs.
Do you think she rolls around in money?
I'm a member of the UCLA Alumni Association. I ain't happy about it. A poll from the University of Massachusetts, speaking of schools, taken after the Iowa caucuses, shows Marco Rubio jumping in popularity, overtaking Ted Cruz for 2nd place, gaining on Donald Trump. Another poll from the American Research Group found similar results with Trump, Rubio, and Kasich in the top 3, with Cruz right behind, nipping at their heel booties. Could the Granite State be Rubio's breakout moment? Sergio Garcia can do no wrong.
Well, I mean, I think he is the man of the moment. I think he's actually most likely to win the nomination.
Yeah.
He's the one candidate, I think, that bridges kind of the establishment, anti-establishment divide. And if he gets 2nd place in New Hampshire with kind of those 3 so-called establishment other candidates behind him, he's going to force them out of the race, consolidate a lot of that support. And I think it'll be down to him, Trump, and maybe.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think a big Rubio win. And if those 3 finish 4th or worse, they absolutely have to get out of the race. Is Marco Marco Rubio moderate enough for New Hampshire, though?
He's trying to be, right? Marco Rubio was trying to be all things to all people. He was for the immigration bill, then he was against it, then he was for it again, then he was against it again. I think the problem is not for Marco Rubio. The problem is for the governors, right? You've got Kasich, who's got to do well in New Hampshire if he's going to go forward. You've got Bush, who is probably going to eke it out until Florida. Because he's not gonna...
What does eke it out mean for Bush, though? Where does that put him?
Bush has to come in, I guess, in the top 4 or 5. I mean, he can't come in behind Christie, who's a total disaster. So, you know, you've got Rubio probably coming in second. Even if Cruz comes in third, Bush has got to come in fourth.
But even at 5th place finish,
but he's got enough cash to make it to Florida. Look, we all know Bush isn't going to be the nominee, but he's got enough cash to make it to Florida, and his last Custer stand is going to be in Florida.
And then he's going to lose to Marco Rubio.
Or going to be okay.
Or even to Donald Trump. I think he's but then
I mean emotionally.
Oh, is he going to be okay emotionally? Well,
I love that you're concerned
about
his emotional
He actually seems like he might be happier not being president. He doesn't seem very joyful about this whole experience. I think he'll be okay.
He doesn't want to be president.
That's
he absolutely doesn't want to be president. And I counter-predict that he's going to drop out before Florida because he knows that he's just going to get mopped up there. It's the same reason.
Could be mopped up by Trump.
Well, he's changed his whole mantra. It used to be, I'm my own man. Now he's going to South Carolina. Hey, remember my brother? Because his brother's now going to campaign. This is my brother. So he's kind of given up his whole kind of strategy to begin with, is to campaign on who he is, not who his family is. Now it's all his family.
But he's not even like the Clintons. He's not even interesting enough to be immoral.
But if he drops out, what's Mike Murphy going to do with all that money? He's got to stay in and make Mike Murphy, you know, make a little couple bucks.
Well,
no, he does.
Made some money.
Yeah. No, they're going to shift it over to Marco.
Right.
I don't know about that.
By the way, you said he's not that establishment. Marco Rubio is very establishment. I didn't really.
I mean, he was a Tea Party candidate.
It went, right.
As
soon as it's more convenient to be an establishment, and as soon as it's less, so yeah, no, he's. Ugh.
But the question is spot on. We have to take a quick break. My panel returns shortly to discuss. Is Adele promoting stalking in her song Hello? Obviously, and a university group rightly thinks so. But first, Ted Cruz fighting off voter fraud accusations in Iowa. There's blood in the water in New Hampshire. Chris Steyerwald joins me to say how everything may shake up by next week. More predictions on the way right here. Please stay with us. Where you at, brah? Oh, hi there and welcome back. A student group at the University of Oklahoma is reportedly protesting Adele's hit song, Hello, because they say the lyrics are an example of female-on-male sexual harassment, which the group is using as part of its Stalking Awareness Month. I'm looking at you. So were they on to something? Or smoking something? The panel is back. Kat Timpf, Julie Roginsky, and Jamie Weinstein. Kat, have you ever called someone 1,000 times?
Text, yes, but not call. I've definitely texted a lot.
You're a millennial. Millennials don't call people.
I'm working on it, but what really got me here is that it was specifically sexual harassment. So maybe it's harassment, maybe it's stalking, but unless she's leaving like naughty voicemails every time she calls, which seems like a weird thing for a heartbroken person to do, then it's not sexual harassment.
No, it's not sexual harassment at all. I mean, okay, but here's what I will say about this. I actually like it because they're not attacking men. It's such a novelty for them to. I think they're doing it just to get publicity and attention, which we're giving them. You're welcome, Oklahoma.
Her feelings seem overbearing.
It is harassment of my ears because I hate Adele and the song sucks. Okay, but moving on from that.
I disagree. Agree to disagree.
We are going to agree to disagree. You are wrong as so many
You like fish?
I love fish.
Therefore,
I love fish.
You have absolutely no musical leg to stand on.
I love fish. Why don't you talk more about Toad the Wet Sprocket or whatever you like?
But yeah, you probably love Toad the Wet Sprocket.
I hated Toad the Wet Sprocket. I wasn't the one promoting. I wasn't the one promoting them back in the 90s like some other people at this table. But I will say this.
I never promoted fish. I'll tell you that much.
I know.
I have dignity, madam. Because you hate Adele, but you love the message here.
I hate Adele. I love the message. Keep stalking Adele. What about the police? Why don't they go after Sting for every breath you take?
Yeah, that really is.
That is the ultimate. If you're gonna pick a stalking song, that is the ultimate.
We all
stalking
have
song.
feelings.
Even stalkers.
Sometimes they're overbearing, and you do things you wouldn't normally do.
Like listen to Adele.
No, I'm totally with them. I mean, for years I've been having a crusade against Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baja Man, by trivializing letting dogs out of cages.
To round them all up.
It's outrage, and I'm glad that someone's taking. I mean, look, in college campuses today, people try to find things to offend them. So now they're going through every song that comes out to try to find any verse that offends defends him. It's sad, and it's a real problem with academia, but it's seeping into the culture. That's why it's really scary.
Right. I think they think it makes them smart. Like, oh, I noticed that this was actually problematic before you did. And everyone
Microaggression. Yes. All right, Bernie Sanders, speaking of aggression, he says he wants Donald Trump to win the Republican nomination because he thinks he would beat him by a mile in the general. Would Bernie really beat Donald head-to-head, or is this a case of be careful what you wish for, socialist? Do you agree that they agree on a lot of stuff, surprisingly more than we think right now?
Well, they do. I mean, I think that Donald Trump, if he wanted to and made the decision in 2010, could have run as a Democrat and had just a good chance to win the nomination than as a Republican. I think anyone will beat Bernie Sanders. I think Donald Trump would beat Bernie Sanders. He's a master brander. By the end of the campaign, people think he's Joseph Stalin he was running against. So Bernie Sanders may be asking for it.
I think he's Joseph Stalin.
Well, there you go.
Joseph Stalin was a socialist.
Joseph Stalin was a socialist. Good news. He lived in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
All right, so I have been saying this for months. I don't know. I'm not going to vote for either of them. I wouldn't. But there's something about the matchup that is so unsettling and satisfying at the same time.
Well, I'm going to say, again, you're so right. We don't know what Donald Trump's going to be like by the general election. He actually conceded, I think, a few weeks ago that he would turn left if he got the nomination. He actually said this, which is awesome. This is why I like Donald Trump, because he actually tells you that he's going to screw you before he does it.
There's no ideology.
So it's always nice.
His only ideology is winning.
Because that's not sexual harassment when you get the warning.
That's true. It's a trigger warning. I don't know what that is, but yeah.
It'd be like
it's still better than Adele.
It'd be like the battle of the crazy uncles. I think that's what's satisfying about it. The bad part would be that one of them would be president, and that'd be horrible. But watching crazy uncles battle is very interesting.
And I mean, the debates alone would be worth the price of admission.
The Queen's accent versus the Brooklyn accent. It'd be like the battle of the outer boroughs. It'd be awesome.
I think they prophesized this in the Book of Revelation.
It was Revelation and Nostradamus.
Yes,
I believe he's got a quartine, or what are those stupid things called? The quartets. You know, he's quatrains. Yeah, that's right. Maybe I knew I would get to it eventually. I hope to goodness and mercy that this happens, because the election cycle has been so strange. If we were left with two milquetoast candidates like Marco Rubio and Hillary Clinton, I think all would be lost for
after all this. We're just back to the same stuff again. I totally agree with that.
And the best part is I'd see you guys at the Clinton nomination, and I'd be like waving to you. You'd all be depressed. You know, it'd be great.
The best part is right in the middle of the debate would be Michael Bloomberg screaming for attention as Bernie and Donald Trump go back and forth and yelling at each other. Will someone listen to me, please, please?
What does Michael Bloomberg appeal to? Because
you know who he appeals to?
Wall Street.
Michael Bloomberg. That's true. All right, you guys, thank you so much, Jamie, Julie, and Kat. And it's our Friday. But you know what we have coming up? Your favorite, Dr. Ron Paul, joining me to answer the question, who should libertarians support now that Rand Paul is out of the race? A little later, celebrity chef Mark Murphy shows me how to make treats that are super for a bowl that will be delicious and football-y. Stay right here, thank you.